So if you got the chance that you could do whatever you wanted, no matter how risky and how terrible, um, and if anything, like if you died in the attempt, like a machine would spit out a clone, what's the most extreme thing you would do?
I feel like it says a lot about me that my two options that immediately spring to mind are start a girl group or bank heist. Like,
Wait,
that's
how would the girl group thing be deadly?
ooh, what if it was a girl group that did bank heists?
So Ocean's 11, you do Ocean's 11.
Yeah,
Oh no, no. Which one was the one with or the female team?
I there's one of the oceans. Ocean's 21. I don't remember.
Ocean's 8.
Ocean's
Oh,
8. We
yes,
went we
Ocean's
worked
8. Yeah,
backwards.
yeah, yeah. Basically, if you could close it, right? Okay. No, it's
What
good. That's good.
see, it's a pretty good
Yeah,
one.
yeah,
Do
yeah.
you what's your immediate go-to?
I would be a billionaire siren. So I would hatch convoluted schemes to lure billionaires to their deaths.
That's actually really good.
A la
It's like a it's like a very specific kind of honeypot.
yeah, yeah. I mean, and like kind of like what was it, Ocean Gate thing. Like, here's and I'll make you the first person on Mars, Elon Musk.
You can
Strap him in, and it explodes on takeoff. That kind of thing.
you could have you could have an entire army of undersea submersibles.
Yeah, yeah.
That's brilliant. It's the Tash that lures them in.
um, Bit of a rambly opening to this one, but welcome, Earthlists. This is In Orbit every Wednesday.
Get 2000 AD now. Get 2000.
Borag Thung Earthlets, this is In Orbit every Wednesday. I am Molch-R, she is Chloe, and we are back for another half an hour or so of chat about the galaxy's greatest comic, 2000 AD. And for long-term listeners, what a treat we have in store for you. We're talking about the prog.
What? This
Mark it
never
in the
happened.
diary, hand over the winnings if you bet that it would be like in the first 2 minutes that we would start talking about the prog.
There should
Hope
very
you
I think there are people that could win some serious money on this. Like, I am a betting gal, and I think that this should be the next thing on the betting pools.
very easy to manipulate as well. But yeah, so thank you to everyone who tuned into our last episode about The Last American. I think we may have sold one or two copies of that book based on the
Yay.
reactions. Which yeah, it was a journey, wasn't it?
It is. Well, it's such a hard book to talk about, but apparently it's hard to talk about, great to listen to, and then they'll find out it's even better to read. So,
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
it's all
yeah.
like
Exactly.
everybody won in this scenario except for us and our feelings.
We both went away and had a little cry
Yeah.
afterwards. Yeah, yeah, yeah. But yes, that was a lot of fun. So thank you for all the great feedback and thoughts about The Last American on that. Don't forget that if you've got an idea for a comic you want to focus us to focus on, or a subject or a particular character, then drop us a line at thrillcast at 2000ed.com. That's thrillcast, all one word, at 2000ed.com, and we'll see what we can do.
And
We've got
we might listen to you, but this is our podcast and not yours.
we may take your ideas into consideration. Let's put it that way. Let's put it but we will be having more themed episodes in the future because those look at her face because those
Love a
seem to go
theme.
down quite well. And in fact, next week's episode will be a specific theme where we will be talking about everyone's
Don't
what.
don't tell.
But I want them to tune in.
Oh, trust, they wanna tune in.
Oh, okay, okay.
Yeah.
You want to tune in next week, Earthlets, because we're talking about something. There we go. Is that all I can say?
I can emphatically tell you, yes, you maybe want to tune in. If I said it right, that would have gone off so well, but instead, here we are. Okay, nobody look at me.
Maybe they will want to turn in when they've finished listening to it. But on this week's episode, we're talking about the prog and the Meg. It's Happy Prog and Meg Day, Earthlets. We've got prog 2446 and Meg 483, which are out now from all good thrill merchants, as well as the 2000 AD web shop and apps. And somebody has already pointed out online, we've basically got two big gun covers. We've got Jake Lynch on the prog, and we've got Stuart K. Moore on the magazine. And there is this whole subgenre of Dredd cover where it's just Dredd, mostly sort of face on, like you know, no
Face
perspective or
on.
anything, with just a gun that's as big as he is. And this goes all the way back, probably full, but to like the Mick McMahon cover where he's sat on the word crime, but the word
Yeah.
like it's concrete that's been shot up, and he's got the big gun, and he's saying any questions. And then Brendan McCarthy did one. I'm pretty sure, like Dylan Teague has a whole kind of line in Dread big gun covers, but these are particularly lovely. And there's just something about it. There's something ridiculous and silly, but
Yeah,
you
but I
know,
mean, it should be over the top.
yeah,
It should like, I think those covers are the best ones because it does show just how blown out of proportion, like,
yeah.
Dredd is meant to be, larger than life, like, even, you know, the things associated with him.
Well, he's meant to be overkill,
Yeah.
effectively, and nothing says that better than him holding a big gun. But in this week's prog, we have got Judge Dredd. We've got the continuation of the Ravelous Pact, Scarlet Traces, Azimuth, and a Future Shock. And we'll come on to talking about the Future Shock in a mo, because it's a bit of a special one. The Dread is Tunnels, which is the Rob Williams and Aaron Guerra story that's been running, has had to take a break for I think a couple of weeks.
Womp
Let me
womp.
just double check that before I make a fool of myself. Yes, yeah. There'll be a gap of a couple of weeks, unfortunately, as the production sort of catches up with itself. So we are treated to John McCrae on Judge Dredd.
John McCrae, whose facial expressions of his characters, even like NPCs, are so good.
Mm,
He's just he's a Dredd artist that looks like he's having fun.
always,
It looks
always.
like he's having a good time doing it, and that alone is, I think, is something to appreciate.
One of the kind of key things for me about whether, in my opinion, an artist really gets Dread is the madness or the silliness or the craziness of the citizens. Like if it's just crowds of ordinary looking people, just
Yeah.
kind of, maybe they've got a hood on or a little bit of futuristic clothing, that fine. But it's when they're walking around in like odd things, like
Mhm.
a hood that frames their face, and shoulder pads and elbow pads and things
Yeah.
sticking out of their heads, and that's how Mega City One should be. It's meant to be a future shocked environment,
Yeah.
and John always shows good, good weirdo sits, as it were.
There's one, like, up close, shot of Dredd that he does too. I think, like, 3/4 of the way through the strip,
Yeah.
where he harnesses my favorite thing, which is a very scratchy Dredd. Like, lots of the very, very not like he has scratches on him, but, like, the line work, it's so scratchy and just
Mm.
looks, oh. Yeah. Just looks like and make him look like a hardened bastard in a way that, like, he really should. So,
Yeah,
makes
and
my
it,
little heart sing.
and there's something quite for me that should be specific about the way that citizens are portrayed, and it it comes back to for me Blockmania.
Mhm.
And again, yeah, I'm referencing McMahon here because he was the master of the weirdo citizen.
You could have just stopped at the master.
Well, that is true. That is true. But Melda Dreep of Dan Tanner Block,
Yeah.
who has the ice cream dropped in her head, and she goes crazy, and that's that's how everything kicks off with the block war. But her clothing and the clothing of all the other citizens in that amazing double page spread where they're all pouring out of the different
Mhm.
blocks. You know, you I just brought it up a second. Where was it? Yeah, Enid Blyton block, Ricky Fulton block, Kissinger block. Yeah, it just Betty Crocker block, you know, and they all pour out, and it's all ridiculous and silly and odd. And McMahon would have like a just random bits of clothing hanging off of them
Mhm.
for some reason. But yeah, that's always my benchmark for a good dread. Is
Little
do
it
the citizens look future shocked?
Yeah, it's not solely the focus on Dredd or
Mm,
the judges that he's interacting with, but it's the entire like, they it's the attention to detail put into the larger universe, because
yeah,
the larger universe honestly is such a big character. I hate being that critic that's like, "The environment's also a character," but it's very, very true. And so, like, the little you know what I'm talking about, but,
yeah,
like,
yeah, yeah.
the little bits of attention to detail
Mm,
in the environment do make the focus, even when you put it on Dread, all the bigger and more overblown, because you get a bigger picture of what he's dealing with.
mm.
So,
And I will say, as always with In Orbit Every Wednesday Earthlets, there are spoilers
yeah.
throughout the episode because we're talking about this week's prog. And our intro was a spoiler because this Dread story is an interesting way in that it's basically a guy who has a cloning machine,
Mhm.
and when he dies, that whirs into action, spits out another version of himself, and there's a little note saying "Best of luck."
Yeah. Good luck, bud. Mhm.
Yeah. So it's one of those kind of solid dread concepts.
Oh, like, and I'm never not here for a cloning story. Like, cloning and time travel, those are my 2 go-tos for just solid dread nonsense.
Well, I always this is the thing. I always want even when the dread story is not necessarily funny. I still
Mhm.
want that craziness. I still want that sense of him being an opposite to the city.
Yeah.
So he's the straight man, and the
Mhm.
world around him is crazy. You know, and that's one of the fundamentals of why Dredd works as a character, and you know, because without that, he is just, as has been pointed out many times, just an out and out nasty fascist.
Mhm.
So therefore, the strip must portray him as a reaction to the
Yes.
world around him.
He is a
Um,
vehicle for reaction.
yeah, yeah. So yeah, yeah, nice solid dread story. I wanted to come on to talk about the future shock because
Yeah, please.
as we have said before, and uh, in previous times on the podcast, we've had various winners and recordings of the panel. This week's Future Shock is by two winners of the Thought Bubble Talent Contest, which is held every year in Harrogate, not Leeds, sadly. Has to be in Harrogate, but nothing's perfect. Um, and Evie Roebuck and Lucas McCoy are the artistic team on this. And it was such an interesting year last year because the standard of the entries, particularly in the art competition, was so high that I dropped Tharg a line and said, "Can we have 2 winners this year?" And he went, "Yeah, yeah, fine."
And
So
everybody cheered.
everybody cheered, and it was actually quite an emotional um, panel. So we had Jock, Alison Sampson, and Danny
Mhm.
on the judging panel, and the quality was so incredibly high. Like
Yeah.
I just said to that, like it would be such a shame if we had to say to these other artists, you haven't won.
Yeah.
So the first winner was Adam Stone, and the second winner was this young lad called Lucas McCoy, who was just 23 years old. And I don't know if he's the youngest ever winner, but of the art competition, but he's certainly up there amongst
Making
the
the rest of
youngest.
us look bad.
Well,
Like,
it's always just offensive, but yeah, it was a really emotional panel. You know, like Jock and Danny and Alison were actually quite kind of caught up with the whole thing because um particularly Jock was like, it's so wonderful to be able to be at the beginning of someone's career and to be able to hand them this opportunity,
yeah.
you know, which was fantastic. So this is the outcome of the winner of the script competition, which is Evie Roebuck, um, who again is very young. In fact, how there was a
If you
there
tell
is a
me
well, go on.
if you tell me that this person is also in their, like, early to mid-20s, I am starting my hag era right now.
No, I think it might be worse than that. Where does it, so there's a little kind of one page feature by Carl Stock in the prog that interviews the winners
Mhm.
of last year's competition. Um, I think she'd only just graduated. Yeah, she's only just left university, so she's in her early 20s. I'm sorry, Chloe.
My bones.
But congratulations to Evie and to
Yeah,
Lucas.
for real. Like,
Uh,
that's so I'm it I joke and I go, like, I'm entering my hag mode, but at the same time, like, it's so cool to see people who are, like, younger and so impossibly talented
mm,
and creative get their jump start through things like this because, I mean, honestly, so many comic companies, continue to just keep, like, the same kind of old guard, like, in there forever or only
mm,
really hire in these older, more established artists. So with things like the Future Shock competition, it's 2000 AD doing exactly what they've always done, which
mm.
is, like, getting these young, hungry upstarts to jump in feet first and really launch a career, and, like, God, that's so good. It's just nice to see.
And it's in many ways it's such a better process than just having an open submissions,
Yeah. Oh god,
because
I can't imagine.
that becomes overwhelming. You know, we
They
are a
wouldn't
very small,
stop.
yeah, we are a very small team, um, and while you know I know some people find that frustrating, but being able to present your portfolio to an editor, get feedback, which is the point of the process. It's not,
Yeah.
you know, yes, you know, the panel and the prize is what everyone's there for. But actually, the important thing is the feedback that you get from the portfolio session, um, but for the art competition, and also the feedback you get from the judges.
Yeah.
Um, and this is something that you know I've not necessarily Pthag, but certainly other editors have said. You know, sometimes they do portfolio sessions, and you can see what they're saying going in one ear and out the other because the person is like, I've come here for the prize, you know?
Yeah.
And actually the prize is the feedback that you get because it will
Mhm.
make you a better artist. And the best entries are the people who come back year after year.
Constructive criticism is the ultimate tool,
Yeah. Um,
unfortunately.
so,
But to actually kind of add on to that previous point about such, like, incredibly talented young winners and contestants,
mm.
um, talking about the progs or the prog, strip in the prog specifically, how much do I love seeing, like, really young people clearly still influenced by things like Psycho. Timeless, like, it's so like, it's a really fun strip, and you
Yeah.
can tell that there are a lot of influences behind it, but twisted in such a way that it fits perfectly into the 2000 AD universe.
Yeah. Yeah.
Do you wanna tell our listeners what the strip is actually about?
Well, it's a fairly straightforward future shock. 4 or 5 pages, stinging the tail, and it's a guy luckless in love, and it turns out that his mum has been sabotaging him all along. And when he attempts to get a robotic girlfriend, she sabotages that and uploads her personality
Yeah.
to it so that she can be with him forever, which
It's
is
it's a reverse Psycho kind of
Freud would
ish.
have a field day,
Yeah.
let's put it that way.
Yeah. It's like it's a very specific kind of gross, and I think my brain's been a little bit warped because 'cause I've just been watching a lot of true crime YouTube lately, but, like, this
Oh, the
but this in
worst
particular,
kind
I
of
was like
true
I
crime
was
as
like
well.
say that again?
The worst kind of true crime as well.
Oh, yeah, it's, like, just footage of like, detective footage of these horrible cases, and so getting to read this, I was just like, "Yeah, this is my jam." Like, this is so it's gross without being graphic. It's gross and weird and
Mm.
unsettling without being graphic, and I
And
appreciate
I
that.
wanna give a shout out to Lucas's artwork because, when he won, it was, you know, there was this sense of, I think Jock said this, of, "This is great, this entry is great, but it's clear that you've got so much potential." And in the brief period, because it is brief, since, um, Thought Bubble last year and now, uh, he's come on leaps and bounds. You know, it's still recognizably his style from his Thought Bubble entry, but it's so detailed, and even in the background, you can see how he's not just stuffing the background with superfluous detail. It's crafted, it's thought about. He's got this incredibly involved style.
Yeah, well, and I actually 'cause there are some artists that can just make the backgrounds very busy and it works as a distraction, but this almost kinda reminded me of Jeff Darrow for,
Yeah.
anybody who's familiar with him and Shaolin Cowboy and Hard Boiled and all of those things where it's everything in the background, it does look exceptionally busy, but as long as you let your eye wander, every single teeny tiny detail has a purpose.
Mm,
And
mm.
it totally reminded me of that, and I'm a huge Jeff Darrow fan, so that, like, made me extremely happy, but there's a lot going on the page, but it's not without purpose.
Mm, mm.
Mm,
Absolutely, absolutely. Let's move on to talk about the Meg,
okay,
while we are here.
we're going.
Um, within its pages, you have Judge Dredd, Tales from the Black Museum, Cadet Dredd, Megacity 2099, and Rock the God. We are hurtling towards a refresh of the lineup,
Yeah,
which will include things like Dreadnoughts and Lawless. So very much looking forward to that. But in the meantime, there's a couple of one-off. Well, there's 3 one-offs in this. It's Judge Dredd Zoomers, Tales from the Black Museum, Killing Code, and Mega City 2099 Cardiac Arrest. And I mean, talking about kind of crazy citizens. That's exactly what the Judge Dredd story is. And I want to. It's Joe Ratcliffe, who I don't know. I think this may be their first work for us, but uh, I've been. It's been impossible to avoid the way that an awful lot of elements within the United States are trying to paint cities like New York as these crime zones. I mean, what's happening in Washington D.C. at the
Oh, you
moment with
mean the DC thing that happened this week?
Red Dam Army being called in. But we won't go into that in too much. But one of the things that they kind of fixated on over the last year or so is the New York subway and
Mhm.
how dangerous it is, and all this, that, and the other. And as everyone knows, actually, the New York subway is one of the safest metro systems in the world after decades of quite extreme police activity and all this, that, and the other. So I don't know whether that's an influence on this story, but it's very much that kind of slice of life Mega City One.
In
Um,
in the yeah, it feels prescient whether or not it means to be. But following on tradition of Dread, I feel like that's pretty spot on, really. And yeah, here's the fun part. I also kind of love how even if it is a commentary, a loose commentary on that being a thing,
mm.
it's also just goofy. I can't take anything with sky surfing seriously. I really can't. But it may but in a way, like, I say that, not in a derogatory way at all. I just think it's really funny. And, like, it's the whole strip. I don't wanna give too much away, but, like, the whole strip feels almost kind of like there's a portion in the subway that kind of feels like an Abbott and Costello bit. It's like, "No, but you. No, but me. And what happened? Who's on first?" Like, sort of situation. And then you add in sky surfing. It's yeah, it's another commentary strip for the Dread universe that also just feels a little bit goofy.
Mm,
So,
mm.
and we all know how we feel about that. So,
Well, precisely. In a slight contrast, Mega City 2099 by Liam Johnson and Connor Boyle has what I think is missing from far too many comics these days. I'm talking about all comics,
all
is
con
expositionary narration boxes.
Yes. I miss exposition boxes so much.
And the first panel, it says, "Reader beware, colon. In this story, Judge Dredd dies."
Yeah.
I want more of that, please.
Yes. Like, it's almost like it's the kind of exposition that kinda dropped off after what, probably the mid-80s? And in comics everywhere, not just, like, not 2000 AD, but, like, comics everywhere, like, these almost camp, like, bordering on camp exposition boxes just went away, and so, like, seeing something like that, I'm like, "This is this is just gonna be fun for me regardless."
Yeah. Yeah. And Al Ewing was a past master at reviving the expositionary narration box. Um,
That's because
and
Al Ewing is, like, one of the kings of camp in comics. He
and
gets it.
what I'd like to see a return. I think I don't think I'm alone in this. Is the return of mad speech bubbles to covers as well.
Yeah.
Because I was reminded recently of the Metalzoic cover on 2000 AD from the
Yep.
1980s, which says I operated on my own brain. Of course, as the story goes, originally there was a typo and it said I operated on my own Brian, and they corrected it, but thought, should we? Is that not a better joke?
Uh, I'm that's so stupid. I like, just lean into it. I think that's I do think that that is a better joke, by the way, but I do
Yeah.
feel like if it's at least the consideration of it, like, again, and I will preach this forever, one of the things that I love most about 2000 AD is the ability to just go, "Huh, fuck it," and lean into the and lean into the joke, and in this case, like, even if it was just, like, even the idea of leaning into it is very good. It makes me so stupid. And on like, see, that makes me even more excited to do next week's next week's episode too. Leaning into the stupid.
Fine. And of course, it'll in the UK, it'll be a bank holiday weekend, so people can,
So everybody can just take a listen.
Oh, no,
Enjoy
wait. We'll be
wait,
No, it won't. I always get confused because we usually record this on a Monday night,
yes.
and it'll be out on a Wednesday. So people have enjoyed. People will be relaxed after a bank holiday weekend. There we go.
Well, then you know what? This is gonna be the thing that you can listen to well, next week. It'll be the thing that you can listen to when you're ramping up the stress of no longer being on bank holiday. We're helpers. We're helpful.
As for many people, the school year starts as well. So, it's actually, that fits quite nicely for
Yeah.
the subject of our
When
episode this week.
when you're
We
ready to wring your kids' necks, listen to the dulcet tones of two people just trying to make it happen. Talk about good
I just
comics.
I just feel like without agreeing beforehand, we've both decided to like ramp up the anticipation about next week, and
I can't. That's actually how excited I am. So I
right,
apologize.
okay. Oh god. Okay, well that'll be fun. But I mean, any more thoughts on this week's prog and Meg Chloe?
There's a lot of Dredd focus. Cadet
Mm,
Dredd made me happy. I think it just continually makes me happy. It's like I there's something so charming about that strip.
mm,
Um, and I think that like I am especially having done San Diego and seen how many kids are actually interested in this sort of stuff because, sci-fi shooty bang bang, cool cop
yeah.
thing is very much a thing for a lot of young kids. And I'm like, so Cadet Dredd, I'm just like steer all weirdo children towards Cadet Dredd. Because it works and it's fun, and it's what I particularly like about it and I know we're running out of time, but the one thing that I like about it, it there's it's very dialogue heavy, but they all sound like kids. They all sound
Mm,
like teenagers. And so that's nice 'cause I feel like there's a lot of comics that kind of fall into the, like, characters that are meant to be teens, kinda the writer can often script it to be, like, bumbling into just sounding like adults
yeah.
in teen bodies, and so it's nice to see, like, little quips and little, like, snide comments and goofy thought process, and yeah, I enjoy the cartoonishness of Cadet Dredd.
Um, and you're right, they were running out of time. So I will just make one other point, which is not related to yours whatsoever. But a shout out to Tazio Bettin and Matt Soph. I don't know how to pronounce his surname. For the artwork on Azimuth, which is
Yeah.
delighting me every single week. Is something quite special about the art partnership on that. It's working fantastically well, I think.
Mhm.
Um, and yeah, looking forward to that when it's collected.
And we can all continue to be terrified of AI, of the of growing AI things, and we can all mourn and lament the loss of our Chat GPT boyfriends, like
Well,
ugh,
I don't think you'll mind me saying this, but Dan Abnett dropped me a line to say he enjoyed listening to our chat about Azimuth when this story started.
yay.
It's made him
Hi,
realize
Dan.
certain things about the kind of cyberpunk aspects of it. But he was quite adamant, it, this isn't a virtual world. This is
Mhm.
just a reimagined world, as it were. It's still real. It's just not necessarily uh, as real as one that perceived
Sure,
it anyway.
but that makes it even better because
Yeah.
that's essentially what's actually happening now. We are also living in the real world, and also we're dealing with all of this, like, cyber like, we are actually in our own kind of mundane way living in a cyberpunk universe right now. So that makes
Mm,
Azimuth, like, all the more fun, but also kind of unsettling, and
yeah.
so Thanks, Dan, for making us come back to reality.
Well,
Rude.
we are now out of time. On that point, on another, cheery point, we're out of time. Thank you very much for listening. Earthlets, we talked about the Prog and the Meg. Yay. We should be back in 7 days' time for more from the Galaxy's Greatest podcast, including an entire thing about Chloe just getting overly happy. But tune in next time for a chat about clearly like one of Chloe's favorite characters.
Maybe.
Subtlety, thy name is Mavil. Anyway, we shall see you then, Earthlets. In the meantime, I've been Molch-R, this has been Chloe, and until we see you again, Splendid Verthrig.
I'll see you next week.
Get 2000 AD now. Get.
Well, thanks for joining us on In Orbit every Wednesday, Earthlets. Make sure you like and subscribe and go along to 2000 AD, where you'll be able to subscribe to 2000 AD and the Judge Dredd Megazine. Sign up to our newsletter and you'll get hundreds of pages of free comics to download. And download the app for your Apple and Android devices. Now, don't forget, Earthlets, this is the 2000 AD universe. We just live in it.